Now then, welcome back to another episode of Agrarian Skies 2. I've just been doing a bit of farming over here today. I've got big plans to do stuff over there this episode, but I just wanted to show you this first, what I've been doing to organise myself to get the seeds right. I've tried to set things up so that I can visualise when I'm organising my seeds. So I'm looking at the highest growth rate at the minute. The gain and strength will come in time, but if I can get the growth rate highest first, then that's the thing I'm doing. So my technique for the 4-parent thing that we've been doing, I believe it works out that only 2 parents actually make a difference. So these 2 parents here make this crop that would go here. These 2 parents here make this crop to go here. But there are 2 competing parents, as it were, 2 competing parent sets trying to make a single seed appear here. So there's more likelihood that I'm going to get a seed there. And I'm just organising it so that my best growth is around the centre, and then my next best growth is around the outside edge. So at the moment I've got a 9, 8, 8, 8, 8, and all these are 7s, there's an 8 there, 6s, 7s and 6s. And I'm basically just throwing into the trash everything else. So that's how I'm processing the basics of updating these things. And then I just come along and I put them in place and let them start growing up. I've been doing this for a little while now. So we've got quite a good supply of crops. And quite a good supply of decent seeds, really. It's not been too bad on the realms of good seeds. We do have this inventory popping problem still, but never mind, I'll soon unlock those things. So I can just basically fill this in. And I'm just going to do the potatoes as well, just to be sure that I can see what's going on with the potato crops. So there we go. And these should all just automatically just grow while I'm busy doing other things, and I'll come back to them a bit later on. And that is my technique at the minute. While there's no shortage of food, this is good enough for me. So leave them to grow. And meanwhile, I can set up with the potatoes. So I can come along and I'll break all the potatoes out. I know some of them haven't grown because I've been harvested them recently to get another supply of food. I'm just eating baked potatoes right now. Plenty of food there. But they've all matured and grown in most of the places. And then we check them out in here. So anything with... what are we looking at? 6s, 5s around the edges, 6s in the middle. So a 7 would go in the centre there. 5 I'll put up there for now. Unidentified ones I'm going to have to go and have a look at. Growth 4 can go down there because I probably won't use it. Growth 5 was on the outside edge. Growth 7 in the middle. Unidentified, probably better. Growth 9. Wow, where did I get a growth 9 from? Okay, well, I'll put the 7 there and 9 there instead. More unidentified. Growth 5, we're probably not going to need. Growth 5, probably not going to need. Growth 8. Let's take this 7 out and put the 8 in there. And then another one unidentified. So I start setting myself up like this. I only need 2 more seeds out of all of these. So I'll take the first few of those out. Let's get rid of that. Take the first few of these out and get rid of those because I know I'm not going to need them. I know there's going to be good stuff somewhere else, so we get rid of those ones. So anything below a 7 now will get destroyed. 4, 4, 5, 3, 3, 3, 2, and 3. Get rid of those and scan the rest. And I've been doing this a fair while now, so nothing special. Just doing this work. Just doing the work. There's a 7. That's good. And that's a 6 already. I know that one. Okay. Just doing the work. Just getting things done while the automation is automatically doing things. While the automation is automating. So that one, and that one can go. Probably don't need those 6s, but I'll keep them for a second anyway. And we'll put the 7 on the side here. I've got a 5 there, so we'll swap that with a 6. There we go. And this one's a 7, 7. We'll put the 6 there, and that should be okay. That 5 I don't need now. So I've got a couple of 5s there to replace around the top. Yeah, easy enough. Easy enough. And I've got one more seed there. If I check that one, that's a 7. Okay, so we can get rid of one of these 5s and put a 7 in. There we go. So now when I come to replant those out, I've got the best setup I can at this stage once again, and throwing away the old seeds. In the Magic Farm 3, I'm planning on using my seeds for seed soup, but that's not been fully tested yet, so I don't know if that's going to actually work or not. Over here, I've got a little setup here, which is what I was considering possible. What I was considering expected was just to be able to put ores in the top there. So this is iron ore dust, so that actually goes into here. I'll just put that into here, let that smelt up. So the dusts go into the smeltery, and everything else, when I've particularly got a stock, I can just go and grab, well, I can grab a whole stack, I was going to say, but then I broke it. Good job, good job. Let's get some of those. Let's put that on there. And do this again. Some people have said that this is a bit of a waste of time, but I like the way that this is functioning. Yeah, there we go. And I can just put those into there, and that'll break it down automatically through this hammer to break the gravel down into its components for me automatically, and then put it into, you can just about see down there, a little sorting chest which is connected up to the whole system. So we should see that these are going up as it gets processed. Yeah, there we go, look. Quickly going up as it gets processed out. So it breaks those down into these, and then I can put those in, and it'll break it down into those, and I can take them when I want. We've got a lot of stock, a lot of supplies. And there's things like auto packers and things, I guess. Let's just check there is an actual auto packer. Meat packer. No, there's no auto packers. Let's see about craft. There's be the progressive automation auto crafting. Crafter. There's crafting tables, crafting benches. There's an auto crafter there, which is Steve's workshop. And there's other bits and pieces. So there's potential for early game auto crafting to auto craft these into the blocks and then send them through another process. There's potential in the pack for it, but that's not what I'm aiming for. That's not what I'm trying to achieve. Because Applied Energistics is in this pack, I want to be able to just access these and throw them into the pot and process them as I need them, rather than doing anything else. And then Applied Energistics a bit later on may sort all that out for me. Well, it's good that we're having a good bout of rain, because that's filling up all my barrels again. These barrels slowly get used up while they're making the cobblestone, and while I'm using it every now and again for making some clay blocks and bits and pieces like that. So yeah, it's good that we're having a bit of a rain, but the sun's coming up now, so it shouldn't be too bad for us to look at. Shouldn't be too bad for you guys. Over here, I mentioned that I was going to have my power supply coming up and my cobble gen coming up from down below, which is still running nicely down there. But now I'm using the power to power these machines as well, a pulverizer and a redstone furnace. So I'm basically getting the cobble gen coming up and into this barrel. The cobble gen is also going across 2 machines to go into this pulverizer. And from the pulverizer, we're basically making gravel and sand. The gravel goes up into the barrel, and the sand goes across into the redstone furnace. And the redstone furnace is pumping glass up into there. So I'm getting basic material supplies. And over on this side, we've got another little setup going on, where from the barrel of gravel, we're bringing it out and down and into this pulverizer over here. And this pulverizer here is turning the gravel into sand, and the sand is also going into that direction. So the furnace is constantly being overworked, but that's okay, it keeps a backlog. When these barrels are full, these machines should automatically sort of switch off. And I've got over on this side another cobble gen feeding into a furnace, so I can just make smooth stone. And the power usage is in keeping with what those dynamos down there are actually able to pump out, so we're doing okay. And I'm getting lots of basic resources, so the dust and things here. for when I need them for other things. So I can use the dust in the barrels to make clay when I feel like it. At the moment, I'm still working on getting the big reactor, so I've been leaving it to run while I've just been processing goods. Let's get under here out the rain. Been processing the goods, and what I've been doing is bringing a stack of dust from up there and bringing it down to here to grab all of the things that you get from dust. And this is a couple of stacks worth of dust. And so it seems in this pack that this is all you get out of dust. This is all you get. I've done 2 stacks, so this has got to be a good average of what you get from 2 stacks of dust. So redstone-wise, I can get it from dust, but there's no yellurium in dust. It seems. Maybe there's a random, rare chance of getting a single yellurium. But on the other system, with the sand, I've been getting a lot of yellurium. So there we've got a barrel that's connected to the system. So any yellurium that gets sieved goes straight into the barrel, down into the hopper, and then into this furnace. This furnace is not here forever, but I was just cooking up the first bit of yellurium. So we've had a stack and a bit of yellurium come into the system so far, and I've just been kind of auto-smelting. Not really auto-smelting, but kind of auto-smelting. It is going to change slightly at this sort of point when I put a big reactor in this section here. Also, I have to run this leadstone flux duct over to go and power the hammerer up there that's doing the ores for me. Which will also be replaced when I've got a big reactor in here, so that it'll be an output from a big reactor, and it won't be an input at all into the big reactor. But the yellurium can go straight into the big reactor. That's the plan. And then the output from this, when it's hammered something, it will put them into that chest, and that's connected to the rest of the system. So it'll put the pieces, the dusts and things, back into the barrels where it's supposed to go. So I can generally process when I want to process, rather than constant auto-processing, until I've got applied energistics, and then I'll be able to just call up when I want things. I want to store the raw materials rather than storing the end product. Don't ask me why. I'm not 100% sure on why at the minute. It's just my favour at the moment is how I want to run things. So all of these raw materials will get stored away, and then as I need them, I will craft them and sort them out. So what we've got to do is we've got to make a big reactor today. So I've been processing the yellurium there that we're going to need. I've been processing the graphite here that we're going to need. And I managed to get quite a bit of this done because we've had charcoal running for a while. It is literally just take the charcoal, put the charcoal in the furnace and do another stack of graphite, which is very good. And up the top, the one machine that I didn't show you a little while ago, up the top. Thank you, Rain, for making me run around with this. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. The one machine I didn't show you was the induction smelter. Currently, I've got the induction smelter set up here next to the sand creation. So at a later date, I'll be able to put the sand in there and then be able to do the induction smelter sand with something recipes. But for now, I've just been pulverizing down charcoal and putting it in here so that the iron and the charcoal combine to make steel. And it's just been processing in the background. Just been processing in the background while I've been messing around with my farms, which is how I want things to work. When I need something, I can make it very quickly. Resource-wise, I'm not really pumping out a vast amount. I'm not pumping out tons and tons. I'm making things as I need them for now. And then once I've got a fully automated setup over here, I will then choose when I want it to be activated by taking the raw materials and choosing, like, I need a batch of iron, so I'll just go through the iron and make a batch of iron. Saves it constantly being running. But the thing I've found with constant running automation is that at some point it gets backlogged. If you've got enough efficiency going in the production of raw materials, at some point you're going to get a backlog of materials, and you're going to be going, the system's processing iron, and I want some gold. I want 1 ingot of gold, and the system's fully stocked and stoked and fully functioning, but it's processing iron. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I've got to shut down the system in order to get that 1 ingot of gold that I might need. This way I can pick and choose when I want things. Man, it's dark. Alright, well, big reactors. I'm going to quickly show you the recipes of the things that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to go and make them. You can see I've got the resources ready now. So reactor casings first up. Steel in the 4 corners and graphite bars in the sides and yellorium in the middle. Okay, so they're the materials I've been picking up, and I get 4 reactor casings for that. That is the building block of the reactor. I'm going to need a reactor controller, a diamond and a piece of redstone added to those materials. I'm going to need some reactor control rods. I think I'm going to go with 3 to start off with and then expand on that later. So again, yellorium and redstone, a bit of graphite and some casing. I'm going to need the fuel rods, which is steel on either side with graphite and yellorium to make steel rods. And I'm probably only going to make it a couple of blocks tall to start off with, just to start with the power and then add to it a bit later on. And also I'm going to need a power tap, which is redstone and reactor casings. So I'm going to make what I need and start setting up this big reactor, and I'll be back with you in a bit. The reactor glass, hardened glass, I can do the hardened glass in an induction smelter with a bit of obsidian and stuff, but you don't actually need reactor glass to make a reactor work. Reactor glass just lets you see inside it, which is okay. And the reactor casing that you would use instead, you've got to add 2 more blocks to in order to replace the 1 block that you're already using with a glass instead. I don't really need that, so I'm probably not going to use reactor glass just yet. But that is it for a minute. I will do some crafting and be right back. Well, nearly there. Just putting the last few bits in. Keep running out of steel. I underestimated how much steel this was actually going to cost me. Thank you. I underestimated how much steel it was actually going to cost to make all the reactor casings for this. So I've had to do another steel run. So I've got these running up at the minute, testing out. Charcoal pulverized into pulverized charcoal, and then the pulverized charcoal going into there to make steel. So I'm making as much steel as I can again, because the big reactors are costing more than I expected it. I guess I could have calculated, but I didn't. I just went, yeah, that's easy enough, I can do that. So down here, we've got a couple of blocks and areas to do things, and I want to make sure that I get it all set right now. I want a kind of an access above. I'm going to need that, so we're going to go from here, I think. Yeah, we're going to go from here, and I'm going to do a 3 wide there, so we'll start there, and this will be the middle, like so. Alright, so from the top, underneath here, I should be able to place, should be able to place a reactor control rod. A reactor control rod basically inserts and can slow up the fuel usage. It can have less fuel being used by the reactor. So that's what that gets used for up there. And I will access that from above when I need to. Let's actually knock that out now while I think about it, just so I can see where I'm going to do. And I could probably put a trapdoor, maybe something on there that's not a half slab, just so that I can use my visuals to be able to go and get it. Just go and have a look at it. Let's put this in place around here now. So I'm doing a little reactor, just a little reactor instead of a big reactor because it's costing me so much. I'm going to make the roof like that, and I can expand this again, so I can tile this. So this 3x3 with the reactor control rod in the middle, I will do another 3x3 with a reactor control rod in the middle, and then another 3x3 with the reactor control rod in the middle, and then maybe even another one. So I may end up with 4 of this that I'm making now. Down the sides, we're going to have to bring these guys down. I could turn that barrel round, but I'm not going to bother turning it round right at the moment. So we'll bring this down like this. Yep, and I'm going to put a reactor core in the middle. So the core itself is what has the yellorium in it. Yeah, so I'm actually going to need another rod, and I'm going to need some more bits and pieces after that as well. Maybe I should just cut away and just do tons and tons of crafting for a bit and get it all set up. And yeah, this access port here, we want to put that on the side of this, so I can put a redstone furnace here from thermal expansion, and therefore it will automatically receive the yellorium. It will power itself from the reactor, and it will eject automatically into the control area to automatically try and feed into that. Yeah, but I've got a lack of materials again. Underestimated. Let me see how much more I can make. Right, so without putting all these bits around it, I can do things like this. Let's take this out here and put a power tap out there. Now, a power tap will exit into this, so I should be able to remove this cable now. There we go. And it's accessing directly and going straight up to power that. That is stage 1. I'm going to need a lot of these power taps because I want to put the sieves directly onto the power taps. The sieves and the hammers directly onto power taps on this side as we go in. So I'm going to use a lot of power taps, automating everything directly from a big fat reactor battery. And I'll also have some energy cells, no doubt, as well, just collecting energy, and I'll be able to take the energy out and around in this underbelly area. Thank you very much for that name, I love it. Underbelly area. So that's that, and as for where I want to put my controller, I am not 100% sure where I want to put the controller right now. If I'm bringing this out a little bit more, I don't think it matters where I put the controller, so I think I'll just put the... Oh, that's another out. But that's for the redstone furnace, so that'll be okay. That will go there and power the redstone furnace, or on the other side and power the redstone furnace, I don't know yet. Maybe having an output on the corner is a good idea. I don't know if you can put them on the corners, but we'll see. And then I've got the reactor controller, which I'll just put there for now. And fill the blanks in and be back in a bit. Alrighty, just a quick update. I'm nowhere near finished, and I understand that the video length is going to be around about 24 minutes now, something like that. So I've only got a few minutes left of video to show you what's going on. So rather than doing all the crafting and stuff with you, I'm showing you what I've done. So to start off with, I've made the reactor casings and done the overall frame work of the big reactor where it's going to go. Big reactor along here. Great big reactor. Awesome big reactor. And inside, I've just had to make a few more Yellurium fuel rods because I didn't realise how far I was going to take it. I want to be able to walk around it, so I figured that this was the last space. So this could be the last space if I was doing another batch of 3, doing it in 3s. If I was doing another batch of 3, then this would finish here, and the control block would be right at the end here. I could still get in and out, so I may need to upgrade it later. But for now, I'm fed up of crafting this stuff. It's taking forever. It's going to be good when it's finished. I've got a reactor control rod up there, and I'm just going to put these reactors in here. Does have Yellurium already in it, because I've tested it out on a smaller scale to make sure it worked. So now I've just sort of expanded it again by a similar amount. This power tap has been working up there, no problem. These power taps and everything around the back here. Let me just fill this in. Let me fill this in. We're going to literally just fill it all in, and it becomes a multi-block structure. And hopefully I've done everything right to make this bit a multi-block structure as well. Boom. Multi-block structure. Okay, so you can see it looks awesome as big grey reactor, and the controller has now turned red. It's full of fuel, because now it's accepting fuel again, no doubt. I put on the end of this, move the barrel around, and put on the end of this a redstone furnace. The redstone furnace has got no redstone energy at the minute, but I did fill it up a little bit when I started out. That's feeding directly into the reactor behind there, so it's set up so that it goes out the back. So Yellurium that's made here goes straight into the big reactor, and it should technically stop doing the work when the reactor doesn't need the Yellurium. So the Yellurium dust will be sieved and put into here automatically by the system. Automatically go down through the item hopper into the redstone furnace and just sit there when it's backlogged and stack up there. That's a nice big buffer for it. On this side, I'm going to have a load of these redstone, reactor power taps, but I've not got there yet. The reactor-wise, now I can switch it on at least. So it's full of fuel, and let's see if it blows up or if it does lots and lots of power. Lots and lots of power. Okay, well the core temperature is quite high. Quite high. But that's okay. It's doing the job. And the power itself is going up fairly rapidly. Fairly rapidly. It's running at 3,806 flux per tick. That's a lot of flux per tick I'm outputting there. And this is by no means a very efficient design. This is a design based on the space that I've got, and it's not very efficient. The heat up here is quite a lot. I should be able to liquid cool this reactor as well by putting a liquid between the cores, in between the cores, to cool it down a bit. But I haven't done that yet, but I will. And then we've got a ton of energy being built up. So outputting energy from this is going to be super simple. I'm going to output energy into hammers, and I'm going to output energy into the sieves, and basically have a setup for each type of material coming out, and then start using the upgrading to give them speed upgrades, because when they get upgrades, they use lots and lots of power. So the idea of the big reactor overall is to make it so that I can super speedy sieve without worrying about the power consumption. So I've got over 3,800, or 3,000, yeah, it's about 3,800 flux per tick to play around with in the upgrades. Wow, that's going to give me a lot of speed upgrades. And also, I can then just have all of the materials that are going to be produced, sieved, put into the automated system by just extending the controllers from the refined relocation, possibly just straight down, and having some hopper system going straight into it. I might take these stands out actually, because they're sort of in the way of what we're going to be able to see. But I am basically done for this episode, I think. I will be making now a load more hammers and sieves and setting those up. And I'm thinking of putting an energy cell here, and having the energy from this also coming from the energy cell, so that these dynamos, if they ever run short, I can also get the power into these guys from it. So these could be fully upgraded as well for sand. Yeah. I only really need to do gravel and dust here, because I've already got a good system for sieving sand, so I only need to do gravel and dust from this side. Bit overkill having a big reactor, but I want to see how these auto sieves react to having stacks of upgrades in them. So I need a big reactor to power a sieve with stacks of upgrades. I hope that made sense to you guys. I hope you understand. And that you may have learned a bit about big reactors if you didn't know already. How to set them up. I hope I showed you enough detail about how I was setting the blocks in the right places and doing all that for you to be aware of how to do it yourself. And I hope I've explained the systems and bits that I've put into place so far. By next episode, I should have, because I've got the weekend to play around, I should have all of the resources being made and stored over here, and we can move on to other things in the Agrarian Skies 2-pack. I shall also try and get my food supply sorted out, so the wheat and the potatoes up to 10-10-10s, and have these two fields constantly available to me. And we will see then where to go next in the Agrarian Skies 2. What have we got in there? Iron going in there? Cool. Oh, that's melted fast. Bang! What a graphical glitch. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I shall take my turd hat off and say, once again, I appreciate all your comments and likes, and I'll see you next episode. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.